Gentlemen, but I'm now tempted to say good evening. So yes, can we have the people? Yeah, right. So first of all, yes, 25 years in the public service, as in the Indian Administrative Service, and of which 10 years has been in Government of India, and more so in Niti Aayog, the premier think tank of Government of India, working on sustainability, working on electric mobility, working on SDGs. What an opportune moment in time that ilouge Media and Government Connect has convened the digital transformation conclave, especially in the aftermath of the Paris AI Summit. Now, the Paris AI Summit has reinforced the fact that AI necessarily has to be responsible, has to be sustainable, and has to be inclusive. And what better than, mark my words, ladies and gentlemen, AI leadership is no longer about those who spend the most. It is now going to be about those who innovate smarter, who upscale faster, and who are able to democratize AI for all its citizens. So having been in Niti Aayog, I will definitely not do justice if I don't say about our journey as a country towards a Viksit Bharat, a country with 30 trillion dollar economy by 2047, with a per capita income jump from a 2,500 USD to 18,000 USD. So in this journey, how do we materialize the journey? And this is where the most important, the catalysts are. The biggest catalysts, the enablers, the accelerators, if I may say so, is going to be innovation, technology, and emerging technologies, as you have heard throughout the entire course of the day. This somewhat, I can't see the presentation. With Gagandeep, in fact, today. So what have we done in terms of using such technology and database platforms? We have created our very own real-time progress monitoring mechanism based on data, based on evidence, and this is for the cities where we ranked several cities, the 100 top cities of India, or across all the SDGs, and you can see some of, how the report card of any city would look like. This is for the state of Delhi. Okay, moving on. As I said that I would like to, on a real case kind of a solution, I would like to talk about Smart Cities mission. And this is where Internet of Things has played a massive, massive role in terms of completely transforming the way we look at municipal governance in India. In the last 5 years, this has gone through a complete disruption. You can look at the amount of services which are provided, municipal services. These are the 4 main areas of any municipal corporation. Municipal services, water supply and wastewater management, solid waste management, and revenue management. Now, all these things have become extremely integrated through and well managed through an integrated command and control center, which is what this is what it looks like, and you can see what the integrated command and control center. Any of you who have visited the smart city offices would know how integrated the whole thing is. And I did speak to colleagues from the C3C, I suppose, who are doing the back-end integration of smart cities in different parts of UP and in different parts of India as well. So have a look at how the integrated, all the systems are basically are all towards better management of traffic, visual display messages, emergency call box for safety, environment sensors for pollution mapping, sustainable water management, Wi-Fi, solid waste, and this is for a tier 3 city. This is a city of Bareilly in northern part of Uttar Pradesh with a population of just 14 lakhs. So we see these kind of things, particularly when we are talking of, let's say, state capitals like Vijayawada, Hyderabad, tier 1, tier 2 cities. But this is happening in tier 3 cities, which are old, which are congested, and which have population migration coming from different parts of the country as well. So when a city like Bareilly can get revolutionized, I don't see why the solution for smart cities doesn't lie in this. So what exactly are the components of a smart city? As you can see, this is a very holistic concept. Please have a look at it. The core of it lies on how to improve the ease of living for people. As simple as that. How to make our cities safe, how to regain our open spaces, how to make the city inclusive for different communities, not only the rich and the poor, but women, the physically disabled, and so on. But along with the smart people, we have to take care of smart living, and you can see through these basic municipal services of sewerage, sanitation, water supply, electricity, everything is controlled through the sensors, and everything is controlled, integrated into that integrated command and control center. Smart environment, again, the entire concept of, having smart roads with smart lighting, with renewables, and electric mobility charging stations. Corridors, transport corridors for decongestion, logistic corridors with, the metro. You can always question, well, the metro is not fueled by renewables, but yes, we are in the process, and that's just a step towards decongesting the transport into, community-led transport systems. Smart infrastructure and mobility comes under that. Smart economy incubation centers. How does a city kind of, not only promote trade, not only promote industry, but how does it kind of create an ecosystem of innovation so that our youth, the 20% of the youth which is all of the world lives in India, they move from becoming job seekers to job creators. I think this is one of the biggest incentives and that our ecosystem kind of tries to provide. And finally, citizen engagement through smart governance. So this is what the blueprint of any smart city looks like, and this is what we've been able to achieve, not merely by any new phenomenon, but by integrating technology, but by integrating the emerging technologies, and by collaborating with so many company heads who are sitting right over here in terms of making the city a better place. So this is a simple snapshot of how we made this entire Bareilly, infrastructure, trying to make it go green and trying to have common mobility platforms so that till the last mile, obviously, to make it more user-friendly and to decongest and reduce the pollution levels as well. Finally, a smart economy with the focus on meetings and conventions and exhibition kind of tourism, linkages with employment and back and forth, and skill development and entrepreneurship, especially through incubation centers and innovation clusters. This is the Bareilly Integrated Command and Control Center. Crowd management, yes. Whoever has gone to Kumbh would know that the entire crowd management, whatever has been achieved largely through the entire geospatial and integrated command and control centers as well. Now, I'll end with, I think I've taken a little bit of more of time. Well, AI does definitely have the potential, as you can see, to boost up our economy by 15.7 trillion global economy by 2030. But what are the issues that come with it is obviously the entire, talk on the regulation bit of it. How does one make space for effective AI regulation for balancing that entire bit between safety and ethical considerations and promoting innovation as well. And this is where I think many of the company heads, you are global companies, and this is where I think the global south faces these unique challenges, and this creates the need for platforms like this. Take key barriers. I will just sum it up. I think this is more of a summary kind of a presentation for you, Ankur. So this is digital infrastructure, spoke about it. Much more thrust on digital infrastructure. AI literacy, regulatory capacities have to be increased. The capacity building especially, so that the youth in different companies, the people who are working in companies are continuously, upgrading their skills in AI. Foreign investments versus local interest. There are a lot of foreign firms who are in the AI field, and how do you balance that entire national security with local interests here? And obviously the global power asymmetries need to be addressed. Who better than you to kind of, come up with solutions here? So largely I'll leave you thinking on these parameters of having a regulatory system on AI with very clear-cut principles about local priorities of national standards and the need to promote innovation, not to thwart it or to threaten it. Secondly, having a posture and a design which is a mix of different approaches of centralized, decentralized. Finding the right balance is the key here. And obviously the commitment to continuous learning. I'll end with what Honorable Prime Minister said, that there is no escaping the fact that AI will be writing the code for humanity in this century. And it is here that I think I would once again congratulate the organizers, iLog Media, GovConnect, to have brought in a very beautiful conglomeration, a confluence of minds who are the best in the tech field, and also those minds who understand the problems, because this is where, when you adapt the problems to the solutions, that's where you can implement them well and scale up these problems. Thank you so much for bearing me out.
Sort of technologies. What's your view on how, whether India should build its own LLM, whether it will help public in general, and what's the welfare out of it?
Okay. Very good afternoon. I know it's a very late running sessions. So, and I think from morning we have all been hearing about AI, and I think every event you go to, it is all AI. And generally, the only thing that you are hearing is, go for AI, go for AI, go for AI. So, every car requires a brake, so I'm going to do a little bit of brake there. Okay, and why am I talking about it? My journey with AI started in 1987. About 40 years I've been working on something related to AI. So you might think that AI is 5-year-old or 10-year-old. It isn't. I have personally worked on a lot of interesting problems in the last 40 years. And for convenience, I say there is old AI and this is new AI. There are lots of differences, lots of things that you should keep in mind. But I won't get into all of that. That will take me at least a couple of hours. I have a small YouTube channel. I do a little bit of 10-minute talks related to technology, particularly AI. So if you are interested in, do check me out. 3-4 buzzwords I wanted to bring it to your notice, which I think we haven't heard as far as I know from morning. Bias, okay, hallucination, explainability, privacy, trust, and data tampering. Okay, so these are all very, very serious issues with respect to AI. I'm not saying that this means that AI is not good, you should not use AI. On the other hand, yes, of course, the algorithms and the huge amount of data availability plus the sophisticated data sets that is available, all that has actually made a lot of applications feasible, which wasn't so maybe 30 years back. When I'm talking about the old AI, we were talking about the pre-digitization, pre-computer era. There were hardly any of the organizations in India had a computer to use. And we were doing all fancy AI applications at that time. So what does bias mean? There is a lot of work happening on, okay, if you look at the current AI models, whether it is Gen AI or the deep learning AI solutions, they are completely data driven. Now you might think that it's a good thing that it is data driven, but the bad part of it is the data decides everything, right? So if you want to exclude a segment of the population, if you want to exclude or bias the decisions against a community, all you need to do is just fiddle with the data. Your knowledge is not visible, the domain expertise is not visible. You can actually manipulate the data and get whatever decisions that you want. Okay, and you possibly will not even know about it because we are talking about millions and multi-million data element. No human being is ever going to look at that data manually to check whether those individual data records are correct. Okay, and therefore, if somebody tampers the data, maybe some element of cybersecurity or whatever those channels are, if the data is tampered, your decisions will get affected. So I used to joke that if you want to make men pregnant, all you need to do is to just fiddle with the data, right? So because The system has absolutely no idea about the common sense or human reasoning, and nothing is known except what the data says. If the data says that if these conditions are true, then this conclusion will follow. It will say it will follow. It's not going to ask, no, that's not possible. How can these kind of researchers can do this? It's not going to ask you, right? And this is actually one of the major challenges, which is also why people are talking about explainability. I think the previous one of the speakers actually had that slide, but that was not the focus of explainability. The explainability is the ability to explain the decisions taken in a human understandable way by whatever way you want to do it. So when you go to a doctor and the doctor says, you have this problem, you can go by and ask him, why do you say that? And he will give you a rationale saying, okay, these symptoms and this knowledge and this disease and this whatever tendency. So you are convinced, okay, that makes sense or that doesn't make sense. Today's AI systems are not able to do that. And that is also one major concern when you are massive applications on critical areas, because you just tend to trust the system. Just 2 days back, there was a news item which says that one of the court judgments issued by, I think, High Court or somewhere, the judgment had a reference to 3 other judgments from High Court, I think Supreme Court or High Court. Okay. And in detailed examination, it turned out those 3 judgments did not exist. The Supreme Court or High Court doesn't have any evidence of any such judgment having been passed. This was produced through Gen AI. Because it's a predictive model, systems can hallucinate. Because there is no sense of correctness, it is only most likely or most appropriate word or sentence that is going to get filled in. The risk of this is not that much understood, because everyone is talking about saying, it's all fantastic, all you need is get somebody's data, all the code is in public, visualization, and you get all these fancy things. Most of the data, AI or data science work do not validate the output. Whether the output sanity follow from the input. Is it possible? Is this decision appropriate for given my data and my world knowledge? Is a question that people are not asking. So AI is a great technology. I mean, I personally have used, we have done a lot of work with the old AI and current AI. I am certainly saying go ahead and use it, but keep an eye on these challenges. The bias comes from your data data bias. There are also sampling bias, algorithmic bias, and all kinds of bias. There is a big literature there. Keep an eye on whether your data is the right data for your application. Okay, is it representative of the world that you are trying to reason with, right? So these are bigger questions, which are very important questions when you are looking at data applications which impacts a larger population. Okay, so bias, explainability, hallucination, these are things that you should keep in mind. Check that these possibilities do not exist. The solution to hallucination is a complete detailed check of whatever is being produced by Gen AI. A complete detailed check, not leaving anything to chance. Okay, so these are things that we need to build into the pipeline. And privacy and trust also, I think Madam also mentioned. This is something that is coming in, so partly you do through regulation, partly also you need to be aware what is the kind of data that you are making use of. Remember, a lot of AI training is using very fine-grained data. We are no longer talking about transactional data, but behavioral data. And that is where privacy and trust is a very serious concern that need to be suitably taken care of through regulation, by consent, by whatever mechanism. It's not a technology problem, it is something that we'll have to understand and take care of. So I'll stop here. There is a lot more they can talk about, but I'll stop here.
Of infrastructure, right, in making sure that how we progress as a country and how deeply we can, how rooted this can be. So the question for you is, how do we ensure, or how can high-speed cable infrastructure or fiber network, etc., how can more and more technologies can be reached to the remotest part of the country, to the larger public welfare, right? And how do we ensure security in that aspect?
Thank you, Ankur. Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you for giving me opportunity to be in this panel. I also carry on from what Sir said, away from AI. I am a physical layer guy, so I'll be more talking about physical layer. Thanks, Ankur, for asking the pertinent question. When we talk about digital governance, speed and reliability matters. Let's think of, from the morning we have been hearing about Aadhaar, Digiyatra, DigiLocker, lot of applications from lot of speakers. What happens when we use that application backend? No, behind the scenes, data moves incredibly fast across the networks, and you get the results right within microseconds. So data is something which is very, very, the digital infrastructure is very, very important behind it. Imagine if the networks are slow and unreliable and it's not working, the digital governance will not work, right? That's where the high-speed structured cabling and the fiber optic networks comes in. Now, again, I would like to draw an analogy here. Try imagining a Formula One car driving in a muddy road or a road full of potholes. It doesn't work. So data, the fiber optic or the high-speed structured cabling networks are like the high-speed expressways for the data. So that data transmits and ensures that the data transmits faster and with least of inefficiency. So again, drawing parallels, when we do a lot of work with government organizations, especially the PSUs or the large government, state government and central government, most of the times we find the tenders coming up with least preference giving to the physical layer part of it. So which is something which I want to stress, because the physical layer plays a very, very important role in actually transmitting the the data. So that needs to be actually given utmost importance. The two parameters which I would like to throw light is, one is selection of the solution, which is very, very important. We need to see what kind of products or what kind of solutions we are actually selecting, and whether there is certifications associated with that, or or just like that we are taking from the market. And second part is the installation. Installations also play a very important role when we do the installation of the solution, because you may have the best of the product. If the installer is not doing a proper job, the performance drops. So that these two parameters are very, very important. So that's something which I would like to again communicate through this panel. And coming to know, if at all we if we have to have the digital first government, the most important part is we have to more focus on developing the best infrastructure which is robust and scalable. That is very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunil. Coming to you, Srinidhi, explain us this new concept of zero trust security, right? And how can this enable us? How can this help various government agencies in their applications and data security? And secondly, how can various government agencies get ROI out of these solutions?
Okay, thanks Ankur for asking this question. Good evening all. Myself Srinidhi, I represent Zscaler, which is a zero trust cyber security company. We call ourselves as a digital transformation company, right? So let us understand how the citizen-centric services has been delivered currently, or how the ecosystem is working, right? Like in the legacy architecture, any organizations has to interact, or they need to access internet, or they need to access the application, critical application. It can be e-office or any other revenue department applications, right? So currently it is happening on all the boxed solutions, right? Like it is believed that the MPLS of the world or the SD-WANs of the world and you do all the vertical stacking of the physical boxes. When I say physical boxes, it can be firewalls, it can be DDoS, IPS, IDS, and so on and so forth. So while we are doing this, we are also doing a service chaining which will lead in latencies. And these technologies are not good enough to handle the advanced attackers these days, right? So why this is happening is because, for a simple reason, all the technologies which are available in the last 20 or 30 years, it all works on a IP protocol basis. You know the source IPs and the destination IPs of it. To put it in a very simple language, if someone wants to access the application which is hosted in the state data center, see, the IPs of the endpoints or the applications are exposed, right? And you have VPNs of the world to access to these critical applications. So today, as these are getting exposed to the outside world, it demands to explore technologies like zero trust. Let me explain how differently we are doing this. Basically, see, we work with a layer 2 and layer 7 where we hide the critical applications of any department and the users, right? So that's how we are achieving this zero trust. I mean, I'm just putting it on a very high level. So when it comes to the ROI, see, ROI for government could be different. Like for any government organizations, goodwill is one thing which any organizations will look at, and then comes the cost. So when I say goodwill, it is about the uptime, visibility, accountability, and control, right? You have to achieve all these things to arrive at the goodwill, and you need to deliver citizen-centric services effectively, right? So while in the zero trust, what happens is we eliminate the legacy architecture or the box solutions, what we call in a layman language, from layer 2 to layer 7. All we have to have is that the simple software which sits on the end machine and the data center, which will completely hide the users and the applications, right? And in the digital transformation journey, over a period of time, the lot of other box solutions can be phased out. So that's how you can also achieve a ROI in terms of commercial ROI.
Thank you, thank you. So in interest of time, we'll keep it short and we'll conclude here, but I'll just ask, there is one or two questions from audience, we can take that and then finally conclude.